Hello, I'm Donald McIntyre, Newfination.com. This is Newfination Live, and joining us is Elizabeth Ploshay, recently elected board member of the Bitcoin Foundation. Hello, Elizabeth. How are you?
Hi, Donald. Thanks so much for having me on today.
Congratulations for your election at the Bitcoin Foundation. And I wanted to talk to you about the mission of the foundation and what are your projects, the issue of centralization in the Bitcoin community. But before that, can you tell me about your background?
Yeah, well, I am just so excited to be on the Bitcoin Foundation Board of Directors. I actually just recently got involved in Bitcoin back in January of this year. Prior to that, I was involved in more U.S. politics. I served as a scheduler and policy assistant for a member of Congress. I worked on various political campaigns, but one of the things that struck me the most was just a need to find decentralized solutions to a lot of the centralized problems we face today. I learned about Bitcoin. I got very excited about it, got to serve as manager of communications for the Bitcoin magazine, and from there decided to run for the foundation board of directors after I was nominated. And since then, I just have really wanted to work full-time in this space because Bitcoin is really a game changer for the world.
Absolutely. Did you work in Congress in Washington?
Yes, I did. So I was able to work for the Chief Deputy Majority Whip of the House.
Uh-huh.
So I learned a lot about kind of the policy challenges we face there today. But again, a lot of these problems are just centralized problems, and Bitcoin is a decentralized solution to that.
I was going to ask you, did the disaster and the organization in Congress move you to go to a more decentralized model in Bitcoin?
Well, certainly. But honestly, I did see a lot of good work happening there, but at the same time, I just feel like there's tons more potential and ways around the system, such as Bitcoin, which is, in essence, a destructive technology, but provides tons of opportunities for people around the world.
As a board member of the Bitcoin Foundation, can you tell me what is the mission of the foundation?
Well, the foundation really is put in place to be an educational institution, a nonprofit, to provide resources for individuals in the Bitcoin community, but also to preserve and protect the mission that Satoshi Nakamoto set out in his white paper. To make sure that Bitcoin remains decentralized, is strong, and also just to provide a forum for individuals to come together to share ideas to make this awesome cryptocurrency much stronger and more effective.
And the Bitcoin Foundation operates within the U.S. or does it have a global reach?
The Bitcoin Foundation does have a global reach, and one of the areas I'm most interested in helping out with right now is the International Chapters Program. So the Bitcoin Foundation is very new. It was only started in about September of last year, and so one of the key goals right now is to expand internationally in terms of setting up affiliate chapters. And that's a work in progress right now because we understand that the Bitcoin Foundation needs to represent the Bitcoin community as a whole, so it can't be, in essence, US-centric. It needs to be global. So there's a lot of progress underway, and a lot of individuals are stepping up in countries in various continents to just take leadership and set up foundations.
I spoke to the guys of the Bitcoin Foundation in Argentina the other day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm from Argentina, and they
Excellent.
told me about this coordination of efforts with the Bitcoin in the U.S. also.
Yeah, that's
And
excellent.
and if say that the Bitcoin Foundation here in the U.S. and then there's a network of foundations in different countries, so there's a coordinated effort.
Mm-hmm.
But who are the members? Who do you represent within? Because I see that there's miners, there's merchants, there's developers, there's people who just like to invest, like me, in Bitcoin.
Yep.
Who do you represent?
Well, for myself, I mean, I certainly represent the individuals who are members of the foundation, but also I hope to represent the Bitcoin community in various capacities. In essence, listening to their views and whatnot, being receptive to various ideas, and certainly preserving a model of decentralization and dialogue and discussion within the community to ensure that any foundation or any form of a governing body never usurps control, and to continue to foster dialogue. So certainly the foundation membership, but also, just being able to be a proactive member of the community, just representing Bitcoin in other circles, whether it's tech or any other industrial circle.
I think that the issue of decentralization and protecting decentralization is key because it's I think as an ex-stockbroker and as I regard Bitcoin from the commercial standpoint, the value of the currency depends a lot on this model, and because it's what is attractive for all the players. But you wrote in a recent article about the tension between, in a way, about the tension between centralization and decentralization. And your proposal is organized decentralization. Can you tell me about that, your vision?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I just come from again, seeing how centralization has really harmed a lot of systems and all, and the best option is really alleviating any ceiling, alleviating any centralized pulls or controls, and really giving opportunity to the individuals to be proactive and make decisions on their own. And then if the system fails, it's up to the individuals. But in the end of the day, what we need is a marketplace of ideas. And so when I mention the term organized decentralization, it's basically highlighting that we have tons of players in the Bitcoin community, tons of players in essence, umbrella of cryptocurrencies and also libertarian free market ideas. And so, creating a system where we can foster those ideas and help those individuals communicate those ideas and really develop, those into practice, whether it's through better hardware or software or just written work. So yes, just ensuring that we don't have this centralized control, and encouraging individuals to step up and in essence be grassroots activists.
How do you see the issue of centralization? Because in a way to create, and I know, and I've read articles of people on Reddit, for example, that are not happy with the foundation and the creation of foundations in Germany, in Argentina, etc. How do you see the tension between, or if it can be called a contradiction, a foundation that centralizes representation against in front of the world, but at the same time promoting decentralization?
Right. Well, obviously, we recognize that there's always going to be some sort of centralized pull or control in the world. We can't be completely removed from centralization, but the goal is to make it as decentralized as possible. So really strengthening up global individual chapters in each country that are specialized and know exactly what's going on in that country to be able to best represent those individuals. And then in the end of the day, the foundation will be, I more so call it an aggregate of information, many ideas in place, many players and actors involved. So, and putting in place also safeguards against that. So checkpoints, so there isn't one single point of failure, many individuals stepping up into leadership roles, a marketplace of ideas, and again, just providing, having it be more so an information resource versus some organization that has a last say on protocol or the direction of the Bitcoin community. Because in the end of the day, the members of the Bitcoin community are to decide what's going to happen next and where Bitcoin goes, and how far they want to take it by the effort they put in.
So one of your big activities is to promote decentralization and communicate this, and like you just said, aggregate information, coordinate things, not really to rule or something like that.
Exactly, yeah.
One of the other activities that I see, and I saw that you and your team went to Washington. So it's the relationship with governments around the world and regulation. How is that front? How is the progress?
Right. Okay. So when I first got involved in Bitcoin, I was actually very surprised of how many legislators and regulators didn't really know what Bitcoin was. And that was actually a safe position to be in, as everything was quiet. It's kind of, all quiet on the Western Front. That's a book, very silent, But this summer, there ended up to be more activity, and the government started to get a little bit more interested and whatnot. And so at this point, I see that it is kind of a race against the clock mentality to get the truth out. And I I don't see that educating regulators and policymakers is a problem. It's needed. It's not asking for regulations. It's simply providing them the information, providing them the truth first, so they don't play off of any myths they have. And then, in the end of the day, also asking for clarity. What we need, and the Bitcoin Foundation is really working hard to do this, is to get clarity from various regulators in the US and around the world, so businesses will have an idea of what they might encounter in terms of the reality of the system right now. So it's not going and trying to compromise it all. Like I have a firmer stance that we cannot and should not compromise with the government. We need to push and ensure that we protect Bitcoin. But again, if there are laws in place, ask for clarity. If there's a plan for laws in place, certainly find out about that. And certainly if there's a forum to share information, provide them with the correct information about Bitcoin and all the positive benefits of that.
I think there's two levels of regulation from traditional governments. So one is on the level, you have the Bitcoin network here, and then you have services being created on top. I think it's okay for an interface of services to normal society to be regulated by that normal society. But that depends a lot, because I think that a lot on the mentality of the governments, no? Because if they see the blockchain as the place where the value is deposited and not the crypto banks or the wallets, they might say, okay, I need to regulate the blockchain, which is the core. How do you see, when you spoke with government officials, how was their feedback? How did you feel that?
So I actually was not a part of that group that went to Washington, so I don't know specifically what their dialogue was. I know it hasn't been extremely clear yet, because again, a lot of regulators and members of government are still trying to figure out what Bitcoin is, and so we still have that open door opportunity to share with them before they do crack down with regulations. So I wish I could answer that more and what the exact words were from them, but I still have a sense that they're still wanting a little bit more information about Bitcoin and wanting to know specifically, all the purposes of it, and that this is the opportunity that the members of the Bitcoin community have. It's not just the foundation, but it's individuals being proactive. And with the foundation, we have some excellent committees, actually, one of which is the Regulatory Affairs Committee, and they are definitely stepping up in various countries and states to just provide information, and that's what's needed at this stage in the game.
Very good. So not only educate the public, but also government officials.
Right.
My last question is, going back to centralization, you spoke about the need for the development of the protocol also to be decentralized. Can you tell me, that is one of my concerns. One was the Bitcoin Foundation. You clarified how you work and your philosophy. The other is the miners. I think that there's the potential for them to get together and form an oligopoly, just like the credit cards, and start charging more for mining. But you spoke about specifically the development of the code. How is that team of people, and is there a risk there of centralization or few people controlling the code, or maybe not? Can you tell me about that?
Right, well, there's always a risk of centralization. That's why we need to be mindful of it and guard against it. And so one of the best ways to do so is to ensure that the developers are working to create the best Bitcoin, the strongest system, the strongest code, with all the same goal of keeping this system that's decentralized, again, a way around the government, a way to mobilize individuals, strong. And so if everyone does have that same goal of really preserving this decentralized cryptocurrency, we'll all be good. But obviously there's a risk. So one of the key things is to ensure that there isn't a central point of failure by certainly with the foundation, there's been encouragement of having grants to encourage people to go off on their own and develop stronger systems. Also, even a push to encourage businesses to hire on various developers. So you've got a whole idea range and various individuals at work. So again, I don't know what the future holds with Bitcoin. What I do hope is that when individuals are involved, they recognize what makes Bitcoin unique. And what will ensure that Bitcoin will succeed is to just preserve that mentality of keeping things decentralized, so the maximum number of individuals can get involved. And also, again, the last thing that I find, which I'm frightened of, which could happen, individuals look at one part of the Bitcoin system and say, oh my gosh, like it's growing too much there. We need to cut it down so it can grow in another place. That never works. We need to remove the ceiling. It's in essence a free market of ideas. Yeah, so I just would never want anyone to get involved and try to cut off in one area for growth in another, because we've seen historically in any system that does not work.
Excellent. Bueno, thank you very much. Congratulations again for the election. And I hope we can talk in the future and continue to talk about decentralization, the foundation, and what's going on with Bitcoin.
Excellent. Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.